Grace and peace to you. Welcome to Morning Watch. I'm Rob, one of the pastors here at White Plains. Glad to have you with us today on a Thursday. Good morning, Kenna. Good morning, Robin. Good morning to you whenever you're watching. Thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing and liking and all of that good stuff. Well, let's begin our time together. Morning, Floretta. Morning, Terry. Let's begin our time together by going to God in prayer. Meet me, O Christ, in this stillness of morning. Move me, O Spirit, to quiet my heart. Mend me, O Father, from yesterday's harms. From the discords of yesterday, resurrect my peace. From the discouragement of yesterday, resurrect my hope. From the weariness of yesterday, resurrect my strength. From the doubts of yesterday, resurrect my faith. From the wounds of yesterday, resurrect my love. And let me enter this new day, aware of my need and awake to your grace, O Lord. Amen and amen. All right, thanks for being here. Morning, Emma. Morning, Lee. All right, just a quick note about how things are going to go. We're on our last 2 days for a while of this spiritual classics book. We're maybe a little bit more than halfway through it. We've been through the inward devotions, and then the corporate devotions or the outward devotions of service, which is what we're on now. And next week, we're going to take a shift and begin talking about the Wesley Challenge. These are the 21 historic questions that John Wesley asked the early Methodist movement to consider. Questions like, has the Bible lived in you today? Or are you grumbling about anything? Great introspective questions. And we're doing a small group at church two small groups actually. One on Sunday night and one on Wednesday night, where we're going through this because we're shifting into a new sermon series that's based on BUMC and the new mission statement of the United Methodist Church, and what John Wesley would call the general rules of do no harm, do good, and stay in love with God. So we are going to jump into that as a sermon series, and the Wesley Challenge is meant to go along with it. So we're going to be going through those 21 questions over about 5 weeks in Morning Watch. And when we get to the end of that in October, we'll pick up with the spiritual classics again, because this is a great book. But in the meantime, we've got today and tomorrow, and that's just a heads up if you want to get the Wesley Challenge book that might be helpful for you to follow along with the questions. And there's a page on our website where you can see a whole list of this if you look under adult ministry and resources. All right. Morning, Keith. All right. Well, one of the great things about this Blue Songbook is that if you start on a page, you can find 3 or 4 other songs on it. I mean, on the same page that Put a Little Love in Your Heart, which I did yesterday, this is all on one page. On the same page as that is La Bamba, Majesty, Majesty, worship, Ubi Caritas, and the one I'm going to do today, Let Your Love Flow. All on one page. That's the beauty of this very cool resource. All right. There's a reason for the sunshine sky. There's a reason why I'm feeling so high. Must be the season when love light shines all around us. Let that feeling grab you deep inside. your love flow like a mountain stream, and let your love grow with the smallest of dreams, and let your love show. And you'll know what I mean, it's a season. Just let your love fly like a bird on the wing, and let your love bind through all living things, and let your love show. And you know what I mean, that's the reason. There you go. Larry Williams, Let Your Love Flow. Bellamy Brothers, right? Had a hit with that? Is that right, Keith? Anyway, great song, and I just think it's so cool that you can find so many different ones in this Johan Anderson songbook. All right, so as I said, we're wrapping up this section on the spiritual discipline of service in this book, Spiritual Classics. And then we're going to take a break for about 5 weeks going into the Wesley Challenge. If you'd like to get a copy of the Wesley Challenge, I've ordered some for the folks that are participating in the small group, but you can get it from Amazon or just about anywhere. It's by Chris Folmsby. Wesley Challenge by Chris Folmsby. He's the minister of discipleship at Church of the Resurrection in Kansas City. Adam Hamilton's church. Thank you, Keith. I thought that was right. What a resource. We call that crowdsourcing. All right, today we are talking about Karl Rahner. I think it's pronounced Rahner. Rahner. Another 20th century thinker, theologian. He was a major Christian theologian of the 20th century. He was one of the chief architects of the Second Vatican Council. And he entered into the Society of Jesus in 1922. He was ordained in 1932. And after a time of study under Martin Heidegger, he earned his doctorate in 1936. During World War II, he taught and did pastoral work in Vienna. And after the war ended, he held professorships of dogmatic theology at the universities of Innsbruck, Munich, and Munster. All right. First of all, I'd just like to say that, holding a professorship in dogmatic theology is, I guess, pretty cool. He was a prolific writer and editor. His theological investigations compendium includes some 14 volumes, and he wrote more than 3,000 published articles. Rahner's thought and participation influenced much of the language and content of the documents of Vatican II, which is, the major reformation of theology for the Catholic Church. His vision was a world-embracing and provided theological support for openness and a dialogue between Catholics and other Christians, as well as a recognition of God's love for all humankind. It really is I've studied a little bit about Vatican II and some of the things around it, but what you see in there primarily is the reduction of what you might call sectarianism. Sectarianism, when you think that when this is the only true church of Jesus Christ, and the old joke about when they get to heaven, they tiptoe around the one church's place in heaven. We won't name any names, but the angel giving the person a tour of heaven says, "Go quietly around here." They think they're the only ones here. Yeah. So this was a movement toward a recognition that all followers of Jesus Christ were part of one church and not just the separateness of the Catholic faith. When Rahner's work first broke on the scene, he was at first admired for his modernity. modernity, and progressiveness. But now it can be seen that how firmly he is standing in a long theological tradition. Karl Rahner was also a man of intense spirituality. Looking over the tremendous productivity of his life, it is easy to see him as one who practices the discipline of service. But in the following selection, which comes from the book Encounters with Silence, notice how that life of diligent service looks to him. It is a matter of daily routine, one that is not so grand and mighty, but a matter of countless trivialities, empty talk, pointless activity, and idle curiosity. Because Karl Rahner is honest with God and honest with us, we may be able to identify our daily routines with his. Now, I just want to give you a heads up. This particular writing is a little long and extremely profound. So I'm actually going to divide it up in 2 days, and this will wrap up our spiritual classics. But this is, if you've ever wondered, what you were doing with your life, and even if you were doing good things, if the routine was in charge, or if you were, or if God was, this is a really worthy exploration of those thoughts. So I'm going to read about half of it today, and I'll read the conclusion of it tomorrow. Encounters with Silence. This is an intimate dialogue with God. God of my daily routine. I should like to bring the routine of my daily life before you, O Lord, to discuss the long days and tedious hours that are filled with everything else but you. Look at this routine, O God of mildness. Look upon us, men, who are practically nothing else but routine. Your loving mercy. Look at my soul, a road crowded by dense and endless column of bedraggled refugees, a bomb-pocked highway on which countless trivialities, much empty talk and pointless activity, idle curiosity, and ludicrous pretensions of importance all roll forward in a never-ending stream. And when it stands before you and your infallible truthfulness, doesn't my soul just look like a marketplace where the second-hand dealers from all corners of the globe have assembled to sell the shabby riches of this world? Isn't it just like a noisy bazaar where I and the rest of mankind display our cheap trinkets to the restless milling crowds? How about meditating on that paragraph for a while? The warehouse of my soul. Many years ago, when I was a schoolboy distinguished by the name of philosopher, I learned that the soul is somehow everything. Oh God, how the meaning of that lofty-sounding phrase has changed. How different it sounds to me now, when my soul has become a huge warehouse where day after day the trucks unload their crates without plan or discrimination, to be piled helter-skelter in every available corner and cranny, until it is crammed full from top to bottom with the trite, the commonplace, and the insignificant and the routine. What will become of me, dear God, if my life goes on like this? What will happen to me when the crates are suddenly swept out of the warehouse? How will I feel at the hour of my death? Then there will be no more daily routine. Then I shall suddenly be abandoned by all the things that now fill up my days here on earth. What final yield? And what will I myself be at that hour, when I am only myself and nothing else? My whole life long I have been nothing but the ordinary routine, all business and activity, a desert filled with empty sound and meaningless fury. But when the heavy weight of death one day presses down upon my life and squeezes the true and lasting content out of those many days and long years, what will be the final yield? Maybe at that last reckoning, at the time of the great disillusionment that will take the place of the great illusion of my tritely spent earthly life, maybe then, O God, if you have been merciful to me, then the genuine yield of my ungenuine life will be only a few blessed moments, made luminous and living by your grace. Maybe then I shall see the few precious instants when the grace of your love has succeeded in stealing into an obscure corner of my life, in between the countless bales of second-hand goods that fill up my everyday routine. Escaping from exile. How can I redeem this wretched humdrum? How can I turn myself toward the one thing necessary toward you? How can I escape from the prison of this routine? Haven't you yourself committed me to it? And didn't I find myself already in exile from the very moment I began to realize that my true life must be directed toward you? Wasn't I already deeply entangled in the pettiness of everyday cares when it first dawned on me that I must not allow myself to be suffocated under the weight of earthly routine? Aren't you my creator? Haven't you made me a human being? What is a human but a being that is not sufficient to itself? A being who sees his own insufficiency, that he longs naturally and necessarily for your infinity. What is man but the being who must follow the urge to run toward your distant stars, who must keep up the chase until they have discovered all the highways and byways of this world, only in the end to see your stars still coursing their serenely ordered way, and just as far away as ever. So what would lift me? Even if I should try to escape from my routine by becoming a Carthusian, a monk, right? So that I'd have nothing more to do but spend my days in silent adoration of your holy presence, would that solve my problem? Would that really lift me out of my rut? I'm afraid not, since even the sacred actions that I now perform are free from the corrosive dust of this spirit of routine. When I think of all the hours I have spent at your holy altar, or reciting your church's official prayer in my breviary, then it becomes clear to me that I myself am responsible for making my life so humdrum. It is not the affairs of the world that make my days dull and insignificant. I myself have dug the rut. Through my own attitudes, I can transform the holiest events into the gray tedium of dull routine. My days don't make me dull. It's the other way around. And here's where we'll end for today. The path to you. That's why I now see clearly that if there is any path at all on which I can approach you, Lord, it must lead through the very middle of my ordinary daily life. If I should try to flee to you by any other way, I'd actually be leaving myself behind. And that, aside from being quite impossible, would accomplish nothing at all. Sounds like Psalm 139, right? Where can I go from your presence, O Lord? I love this conclusion, and it goes on, so we'll finish this selection tomorrow. But I love this sort of waypoint on the journey, where Rainer comes to the conclusion, as a good friend of mine says, the only way out is through. The only way to God to escape this daily routine is through it. If the practices, if the things that we do have lost the ability to bring us closer to God and become instead obstacles, as they seem to have for Rainer, then it is nothing less than a re-examination of the purpose of our life and the orientation of our life that is called for. Going back to the basics of centering our life on love of God and love of neighbor. Love of God, love of neighbor. Get those right. Perhaps it can transform the routine that he has become so disillusioned with. All right. You don't need to hear me preach on words that preach for themselves, right? What a great reading by Karl Rainer. Thanks for being here. I hope this was helpful for you as it was for me. Yeah, thanks, Floretta. It really is an examine. Foster says as much in his concluding thoughts on Rainer. This is nothing less than an examine of the soul, and a powerful one at that. Thanks for being here. May you find peace and purpose in this day. Get a copy of the Wesley Challenge if you'd like to follow that. We're going to do that for the next 5 weeks. After starting next week, as we kick off this weekend with Rally Day and the Pops concert and all of that at church. Hope to see you there. But I'll see you tomorrow for the conclusion of this thought on Carl Rainer and for another Morning Watch. Thanks and take care. Talk to you soon.